Ashley Cheeks here with Pitch Investors Live to educate you on how to pitch perfectly to investors. Today we're going to talk about how you can avoid looking needy and desperate during your pitch. The reason this is so important is because you can actually derail your pitch very, very quickly if you come across severely desperate and so needy for money that you're willing to do anything to get it. You want to walk that fine line between showing the investor that you are willing to go the extra mile, that you're willing to persevere through anything, and that you're willing to fight for the money that you need, but you also don't want to be on the other side of it where you're practically begging for money from anybody that's willing to listen to you pitch. So we're going to talk today about how you can avoid that fine line crossing, because it's really important to show the investor your best side, your most vulnerable, honest, but high integrity side when you're doing your pitch. One of the things people forget is that investors are getting pitched constantly. They're always in front of people who are interested in getting their money. So one of the things that they come across is the feeling of being approached by beggars all the time. You want to make sure that you come across very, very differently. You want to come across like you're a partner waiting to happen, not like you are another person with their hands open waiting for a handout. So what we're going to talk about today are some of the most critical ways that you can change your mindset and shift the way you think about how you're pitching so that those nuances don't come across as beggar-like, and instead they come across as partnership potential. Now, one thing I want to remind you is as you're pitching on Pitch Investors Live, you have to remember that you're not just pitching to your investor, you're pitching to a broader audience. That's another reason why you want to make sure that you're educating, that you're making clear offers for investing in the company, and that you're leaving the door open for dialogue and for conversation. Now, we're going to talk today about how to apply these things directly to the investor that you're talking with one-on-one, but I want you to keep these concepts in mind as you think about the fact that you're pitching this not only to the investor, but to a really big audience that's online at the same time who might be interested in investing in you today or in the future. So we're going to take these concepts from a one-on-one perspective, and you will be able to apply them to your global audience when you go pitching on Pitch Investors Live. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to approach the investor from an education mindset and not from a sales mindset. Your investor is not interested in being sold your business idea. They're interested in being educated about it. They want to be informed about everything you've done to date and everything you have planned for the future, and they're not interested in you trying to close them before the pitch is over. If you've noticed, most pitches now are actually being done offline after the initial pitch is complete. That's because the investor wants to do their due diligence and make sure that they understand the business inside and out. So what they're going to do is show whether or not they're interested in you, and if they want to continue the conversation beyond the live pitch. And if they do, that's when deals are done. If they don't, that's okay, but it might be because you're trying to close them and sell them and push them into an answer before the pitch is over. That's always a turnoff. It's not comfortable for investors to feel like they have to make a decision right now, otherwise this opportunity is going to be lost to them forever. Chances are they'll say, that's okay, I was alive before this opportunity happened and I'll probably live beyond it, so I'll just say no if it's a now or never kind of a thing. You want to show them that you have really great information to offer about the business, really great insight, and that's all done with an educational mindset, not with a sales mindset. Now, there is a difference between taking your pitch and making sure that it does speak for itself, and being too soft about it and not being strong enough with what you're delivering. You want to make sure that your pitch is a fine balance between giving a ton of information and piquing interest. Now, one of the things you need to make sure that you do is cover the main bullet points. So talk about equity, talk about the history of the business, the founders, talk about everything that you have planned for marketing strategy and acquisitions, but make sure that you're also leaving room for the investor to give you the questions that he or she has so they can stay engaged throughout the conversation. We've talked in previous videos about how you really need to keep a dialogue with your investor. It's not a one-way pitch, it's not a one-way sales call, it's actually a conversation. So keep that line of communication open. Find out if they are becoming more educated and if they do fully understand your business concept. Ask them questions. Does this make sense to you? Do you feel like you grasp this? And make sure that they give you feedback so that you can stay on the same page with them as you give your pitch. Another really important mindset shift that you have to make when you're pitching is getting away from asking and moving towards offering. The beggar mentality is simply rooted in give me, give me, give me. So if you come to your investor with the goal of asking for their money and asking for them to buy into your company, then you're going to basically take that neediness and bring it to the forefront. Instead, you want to offer them an opportunity. And yes, this sounds a bit novel, but the point is, it's not something that most people keep top of mind as they deliver their pitch. They're obsessed with getting cash. They're obsessed with giving equity in exchange for funding. And if you change it and you think about it in terms of making an offer, of making an opportunity available to somebody that's going to benefit them, then it becomes more of a gift than it becomes an ask. So instead of trying to take from your investor, you're now trying to give to your investor. Now this actually feeds more into giving your investor the opportunity to stay in enough power to feel like they're not being robbed of control during the pitch. They don't want to feel like they're being cornered in any way or like they're being closed like a used car salesman. Instead, you want to make them feel like they're a potential partner, make them feel like they are looking at an opportunity to actually grow and thrive with you instead of just giving you money to make your business dream a reality. Now, this is usually easier said than done because if we're honest with ourselves, the reason we're going to this investor is not to be nice and tell them a story and ask them if they're interested. It's really to get cash. I mean, that's the bottom line in all of this. We need to fund our business and we want to find the right partner and an investor to make our business grow and thrive. So it's okay to be honest with yourself and admit that that is your ultimate goal. But simply thinking about it in terms of making an offer, of creating opportunity, it's simply a mind game you play with yourself to get into the right headspace so that you don't approach your investor with a beggar mentality. If you come to your investor with a brilliant idea, with something that's earth-shatteringly amazing, but you deliver your pitch in a way that says, I'm desperate, I'm needy, please give me, the investor is not going to hear your pitch through that noise. So your job is to simply cut the noise and make sure the investor feels like they're being spoken to as a human and not as somebody who is a simple open wallet for them to tap into. Up to this point, you have educated your investor, you have made them a really clear offer if they're interested in learning more about it, and now the third step is all about making sure you're leaving that door open. Now, as you deliver your pitch, you do want to make sure that some of the things that you are weaving throughout your pitch are encouraging follow-up potential. As you end your pitch with your investor, you're probably going to go offline, like I mentioned a moment ago. And so you want to make sure that you're creating a pathway towards that. You want to encourage, hey, I know that you're in the area once in a while. I'd love for you to come stop by and maybe, we can sit down and chat about things, or I can show you some of the prototypes I'm working on, or something that implies that this has to be done in person and that there has to be a next step, and take that opportunity to kind of assume the best and feed that assumption to your investor. That way your investor has, first of all, an easy out, so if they're not quite sure if they're interested or not, you can kind of give them a way to keep moving forward with you, even if they're not fully decided. This way you're not leaving any closed doors, you're not giving them an ultimatum that they're going to lose if they don't invest today, otherwise it's off the table. You do want to keep things moving forward and open with them and give it the time that it needs to really ferment and become an interest that's rooted in genuine intrigue and not in, the clock's ticking and I'm running out of time and I guess I have to invest in this, otherwise the opportunity's gone. You want to keep it more friendly, more light, and more realistic than that, because the fact is, if the investor came to you tomorrow versus 6 months from now and said, hey, I want to get involved, would you really turn them away in 6 months? Probably not. You'd figure out a way to make that opportunity work. So keep that dialogue open. You want to give them an opportunity to come back to you later and have a conversation that makes sense and that has no pressure tied to it. Sometimes high pressure sales are effective, but in the world of pitching investors, it rarely takes form in the way that you want it to. It usually drives people away. So what you want to do is show them how comfortable you are and how you're moving forward on your end of the business, no matter what this investor does. But in the meantime, if the investor is interested in learning more about it, you're glad to sit down and have a conversation. You're glad to take things to the next level, do a more communicative review on what the business concept looks like in total. And that way you kind of let the investor lead out of the pitch with a bit of an open door instead of, at the end of this pitch, the opportunity dies. And so once you're ending your pitch and you're making sure that that offer has been made and they understand the potential to invest in your business, you now need to end it with a firm follow-up. Hey, when can we meet in person? Hey, when can we have a phone call? And make that your end goal for commitment, not to get a secure yes from the investor. Simply get a yes to continue talking. So your goal is to get them to follow up with you via a meeting or to schedule something with you in person so that you can kind of take things to the next level with your sales pitch, because it is a sales pitch, but you don't want that to feel like a sales pitch. So now that you've adjusted your mindset to clearly educate your investor, to give them a concrete offer and opportunity, not an ask, and you've given them an open door at the end, showing how comfortable, confident, and willing you are to facilitate more conversation with them, now you're creating a pitch that is more of an open conversation and that is not a one-way pitch that is a needy sales desperation play. As you work with your investor one-on-one during the pitch, remember that global audience that's also watching you on the platform. Pitch Investors Live gives you that reach and opportunity to make sure that your business and your business investment opportunity is seen by everybody that needs to see it who might want to invest themselves. So keep that audience in mind as you pitch to your investor. That's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or thoughts, leave them in the comments below. Take care, and until next time, stay positive, entrepreneurs.